Alright, so we've got the bit of the case off. This again was broken where the warranty sticker was. And we'll take off all the parts and then clean them off. So this is the power supply, which they've made smaller just for the slimmer model, instead of having an external one, like I did with the PS2. Right, I've got the power supply out, and it's not too dusty in here, but I'll still give it a clean. It's got a few clumps of dust. The prongs which hold the transfer power, whatever, they're a lot different to the fat PS3, so you can't exchange power supplies. As you can see on this power supply, on the fat PS3 there is only one ribbon cable, but on this one there's 1, 2, 3, 4 ribbon cables, and they don't have the little flap thing. You just gotta push it in there and it sticks in. Right, so we just took the motherboard and the fan out, and I'll just put this out of the way. It's very dusty, you can see a lot of dust in there. I'll clean it out later, but firstly I'll flip this around so we can take this off and get into the motherboard. I've got the motherboard out, and the thermal paste looks like it was lacking some thermal paste. It's not covering the entire heat spreader. This one, the CPU is a bit more, but the GPU isn't very covered. It's not covered that much with thermal paste. Anyway, I've got the thermal pad here, which I'm not going to replace, and then the heatsink and fan, which I'm going to try and take off. Don't know if I can. I can, the screws here. Okay, so I'll put this to the side and then we'll clean it in a minute. I've managed to get the fan out, so I'm going to take this off and then clean that separately. And the heatsink right here is very dusty, so I'm going to have to clean that. Anyway, I'm going to take this outside and just blow some air onto it. Alright, I've got some contact cleaner alcohol, which does work on electronics and all this. So I'm going to blow it off with the leaf blower, then spray some alcohol on there and rub it off with a towel. I use a towel for most things except for like electronic stuff like the CPU and GPU, which I'll use some paper towel. Right, not much dust came off of this case when I blew it with some air, so I'm gonna just spray a little bit of alcohol on it, for now at least. And then I'll rub that. I'm not trying to get it perfect, but I want to get it good enough so it's not covered in dust and everything. The top's also not the cleanest, so I'll just cover that with the alcohol and then that area looks much cleaner, so I actually just spray inside where the disc goes, just so we can get that clean, because we don't want dirty discs. Anyway, I reckon that's looking much better than what it was, so I'll move on to the next parts. I'll do these ones off camera because it can be pretty boring watching someone clean a bunch of parts. The fan looks much better after I've cleaned it. It's still a bit dusty, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was, so I'll just keep this like this, so because this fan is small, so it's more tricky to get in all them cracks down there without like a brush, and I don't really have a brush. I've wiped the thermal paste off the heatsink. Now I'm going to do it to the motherboard, just clean that up, and when I'm back inside I'll apply the thermal paste. So I got some paper towel. I wouldn't use tissues or toilet paper as they leave bits of paper around on the chip and they break apart more easily. So and this will go, the alcohol will go all the way through if I do it just flat, so I usually fold it once before I start, and I'll use like the same piece of paper for the whole thing until I run out of paper. So I carefully rub that down, make sure I don't have too much force on it. I'll just use the other side for the GPU, just so I don't make it all messy. And it's rubbed most of it off, except there's a bit on the side here, which was fairly easy to get up. And then I'll fold it like that and just use this just to clean it off a little bit. I'll use the towel a little bit, just see if we can get the rest of that stuff off. You don't want to put too much pressure on here. I'll just put a little bit of alcohol on the towel just to get that final bit off and make it so I can read it mostly. Alright, that's pretty good, I reckon. The writing has rubbed off a bit on the CPU, but I reckon that's pretty good. So I'm gonna just finish cleaning off the motherboard, and then it's quite dusty, not this side, more this side, and then I'll take it back inside and I'll apply thermal paste and put it back together. Alright, I'm now gonna apply thermal paste, which I'll do this on here because it makes it easier to do it on the heatsink and then put the motherboard on top of it. So I'm just going to apply a small amount like that, and then same on here. That should be enough, and it should spread when I put the motherboard on. So I'll grab the motherboard and I'll line it up with these ports here in perfectly and set it down like that. And then I'll grab this shield here and just line it up with the hard drive, and that's on perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these screws and I'm going to put it in here and just screw it in. I think this is the right one for this. I think I've got the wrong screwdriver there. I don't know. Yeah, I did. I apply a bit of pressure just to push it all down, and that'll spread all the thermal paste. And I'll do the same for all these holes, and then I'll add these other metal things which I got no idea what they're called. Alright, I finally got the disk drive in, which took about 20 minutes just to get the bottom ribbon cable under here in. So now I'm onto the power supply, which should be a relatively easy installation. Oh, I don't think that cord's supposed to be down there. I think that should be easy to get out, maybe. Maybe not. Okay, we'll see how this does go with the cord half or more. Otherwise I'm going to have to take the whole thing apart just to move it. Well, not the whole thing, but like that bit, which is quite a lot of stuff, including the disk drive. So I'm not doing that. I think we may be able to get it in. I'm just going to try and move it one more time. I know they're supposed to be in this little bit, but I'll see if I get it out I can have a bit more movement of it, which seems I can, so put this in again. This is hell. I'll get back to you when I've finished this. Alright, I was able to get this out with like no damage, so that means I can put the power supply in, which fits in nicely, and plug that in properly, and then I'll get this wire and plug that in here. I'll match the bit that comes out at the back with the bit with the cutout on the socket. It just makes it a lot easier. I do like the inside of this a lot more than inside of this fat PlayStation. Just looks much cleaner, but it lines up with everything. Maybe this is a different colour so it doesn't line up perfectly, but like it still looks very good. The PlayStation logo, writing, and the fan's still not great, but like it's better than it was. Anyway, I think the last thing to do is put the top back on. Actually, before I do that, I'll put the hard drive in, plug it in, and see if it boots to life, and see if the disk drive works. So I've got my HDMI cord, power cord though. It doesn't fit because it uses a different power cord to the fat model. So it uses so I have to go and grab a different cable, which is the same as my camera charger, so be back in a minute. This power cord is just too short, so put the PlayStation on an angle. Find the power port. We've got red light, and then grab the HDMI cord. I am using a pretty damaged HDMI cord, so it may not show up on the TV. Let's turn the TV on there. Okay, I'm not sure I even touched that, or maybe I did. Fan spins. And we're on. So it does work. There's no disc light on this, so I can't confirm that. I'm hoping it does work, because otherwise the problem is probably that bottom ribbon cable. Alright, I've just plugged the controller in so I can use it. There are a lot of counts on this one, but yep, disc reads. I'm not going to really test the game because I don't know, but comes out. It is a very loud disc drive, so that's probably the sound you're hearing, and a dirty disc. But I'll just make sure it goes in. Goes in smoothly, but it does sound very loud, and shows up on the screen. Alright, so it's all tested. I'll turn that off, unplug everything, alright, now let's put it back, put the top case back on. Nothing's hot yet, which is a good sign, because we don't want a PlayStation that gets hot after like 30 seconds. Anyway, I got the top part, put that on. This one was tricky to put on, just like the other one, fat one, but yeah, I'll screw it in and yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, I've finished this PlayStation, just all upgrading that. Sticker's not very clean there, but I am missing a few things. I'm missing the 4 Torx screws down here. They are actually right here, but I am going to cut these into blade screws because it is much easier just using an angle grinder and that, but I won't do that on camera. So it is a lot cleaner than it was before. It's not completely clean, but it's better. It works, which is the main thing. So if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.